I-95.5 FM presents Inside Insurance. Listen now as John Gill teams up with Guardian Group insurance experts to tell you all you need to know about insurance. Here now is Inside Insurance.
Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to Inside Insurance, brought to you with the kind compliments of Guardian Group. And this afternoon, we will be talking home and contents insurance. And we have with us, of course, Mr. David Leaping from Guardian General. Good afternoon. Welcome to you, David.
Thank you very much, John. Good afternoon.
All right. And you are experts at this by now, right? Right. You're very familiar and comfortable with the studio and so forth. So we're talking home and the contents, let's start the ball rolling one time. I don't have to prep you on all that kind of thing, so we jump right into it. How do I apply for home insurance?
Okay, there are different avenues in which one can apply. First of all, you can visit your insurance company and make a direct application there. Mm-hmm. The second option is to talk to one of your insurance salespersons, or an insurance agent, or an insurance broker.
Yeah.
Those are the four sort of basic channels available to the man in the street, sort of thing.
Right. When you want to talk home insurance, what can one be insured for? What are the things you can insure for under that ambit of home and contents?
Well, we talk contents here, so contents generally means everything inside your house.
Of value.
Everything of value. So it includes all your kitchen appliances, your furniture, right down to clothing, food stuff, drinks, etc. Everything.
Jewelry.
Including your jewelry.
Artwork,
valuables like electronics, cell phones, stamp collections, whatever you have inside the house falls under the very general rubric of contents.
Right. And of course, when you talk home and contents, you're just talking not the building itself.
No, not the building itself.
You're talking what is inside.
Inside the house.
Right. Okay, fine. How does one determine an adequate sum insured?
Okay. Some people do it on a new for old basis, which is really the recommended way. But if you're going to do your contents on a new for old basis, you should really be looking at new values, regardless of the age of your existing properties or contents. So for example, a new fridge, a new 15 cubic feet fridge is whatever it is, $10,000. Your fridge is already 7 or 8 years old. If you're going to do it on a new for old basis, you should be insuring for the price now, the new price.
Right.
As opposed to a depreciated price over 7 or 8 years old.
No, and that's fine for appliances and furniture and so forth. But when you're talking like valuables like artwork and so forth, which the value of which can appreciate over time, how you approach something like that? Or
even jewelry. Within most contents policies, there are sections. So there's a section, an all risk section, so that if you have valuables like jewelry, artwork, etc., it is recommended that you do it under the all risk section rather than under the plain content section. The advantage of doing it under the all risk section is that the cover is not limited to your location. So for example, if you wear your jewelry out, you go to a function, you held up, for example, and your jewelry is taken away from you, then that's covered under the all risk section. If you left it as part of your contents, then the loss must take place at your premises.
The house.
Yeah.
So like things that you will
like video cameras, your cell phone,
things that you would move
around with your laptops, etc.
Right. You know? So those should be all under all risk.
Under all risk. It's
but
recommended under all risk.
Right. But like stamp collection, your artwork, those things
generally stay at home.
Right.
Yeah. But again, artwork and stamp collection, the problem there is the valuation.
So you have to have a valuation done.
And you need to get expert valuations for it.
All right. So and those figures would what would be used as the guide for sum insured. All right, fine. That's good. What are the impacts of underinsurance?
Oh, that's a That's a major problem. Under insurance means that you are insured for less than you are supposed to insure for.
Right.
I like to use another word instead. Let me use the word partly insured, as I said, instead of underinsured. If you are partly insured, it means that you would have paid a part of the premium, and if a loss occurs, you would only be partly paid. And that is where the problem comes in, because people expect to get their full claims paid even when they are underinsured or partly insured. So the trick there is really to try and be adequately insured.
Right.
Yeah.
So because there are consequences of being underinsured.
There are consequences.
All right. For example, if I have something that is valued at $10,000 and unfortunately I insured it for $5,000, what happens
Well,
if a claim arises?
okay, if you lost that item, you would have actually lost $10,000 in
Correct.
value. But since you were only insured for $5,000, you would collect your $5,000
And be out 5,000.
and you out 5,000 because
Yeah.
the other 5,000, which you, well, let me use the term, you did not insure. But in a sense, you actually insured it, but with yourself.
Yes, because you explained that before.
Right. There is something called self-insurance.
Insurance,
So
so-
when you didn't insure with the traditional insurance company, what you are actually doing is taking on the risk yourself, and therefore you become a self-insurer.
Sure. Yeah. So
So when you are in that situation, you pay yourself. The insurance company pays the part that you insured with them, and you pay
yourself the part you
other part
insured
that
with you. I like that. All right. So what does one need to produce in the event of a claim?
Okay, that depends on the type of loss you suffer. In the case of contents, if you have your bills and receipts, etc., that would be useful. Many people don't keep those things, so it's a matter of actually sending in your documents, proof of loss, etc., and listing out your items that you have lost. You may or may not have documentation to support it, but then the adjusters will come in and negotiate with you based on the actual damage that they're seeing there.
No, that's fine if for example the loss is as a result of, let's say, water damage or
A fire,
theft.
yeah.
No, but in terms of a fire, where most of your documentation may have been lost in any case,
right.
you know,
Yeah.
that it.
But in the case of a flood or a fire, you will still see residue of what was, because the ashes would be there, the burnt out things would be there. They may be in a different form. But in the case of a theft, where it's not there at all,
Right. Yeah.
you know, how do you convince the insurer? Well, I did lose my laptop. You know, I did lose my expensive vase or something like that. You know, we just have to accept that.
Right. Okay.
Because there is no proof. That you
What
did,
about
but-
what about the? I know some people suggest, like, for example, taking photographs or things
Well,
like that. Can that help?
It helps. Yeah, that is useful. Many people take photographs of their jewelry in particular, so they have a record of it. You know,
Right.
And a copy of the photograph is lodged with the insurer as well.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
So you can lodge those copies with the insurer,
Yeah.
and right. So that becomes
It-
kind of
it
proof of.
helps, in the event of a loss, you don't have to go through a whole set of drama, etc.
Okay. All right. Fine. And let's see a final. How much should one pay for insurance?
Again, that depends on how you are insuring. If we were to take the general, the ordinary contents type insurance, well, let's forget the jewelry and the valuables. A good range will be somewhere between 0.4 and 0.6% of the value. That's a sort of rule of thumb range that you will get. And that is fairly standard throughout the market. If you're going to do your jewelry and electronics and thing on an all risk basis, which means that it's covered elsewhere outside of the home, the rate then goes up. It could be as much as 0.8% or 1%. It varies depending on the situation.
But usually,
but that would be a good
a good-
range
right,
if you wanted to get a
between
ballpark.
all right, 0.8% to
0.8
to 1% of the value.
Of the value.
All right, good. Are there any things that I haven't asked about that you think listeners should know about home and contents insurance?
Well, there are some extensions to these policies that most people are not aware of. For a good one would be both on your home, the building policy and the contents policy.
Right.
There is an extension for alternative accommodation.
Alternative accommodation.
Or we commonly call it rent. So
All
your
right.
building is destroyed or damaged. It's damaged to the extent where you have to move out in order to repair it, but you have to rent somewhere else in the meantime.
Right.
That rent
Can be covered.
is covered as an extension, but up to an amount. It usually goes up to about 10 or 15% of the sum insured.
Okay.
But it's a useful extension to have and to know.
To know about, yes.
To know about.
Yeah.
Because you have had many cases where people have suffered the losses. They have moved out into alternative accommodation, temporary until their building is repaired,
Yeah.
and didn't know or didn't realize that they had a claim for it or they can claim.
On your home and contents policy, is it also possible to have like personal accident or public liability?
Yes. Again, the contents policy or the home policy as a whole is really a package type of policy.
Right.
It's designed for the individual. The individual requires several different types of covers to protect himself, and all these types of covers are brought together under one umbrella.
Right. So those are
Especially
extensions.
designed for the homeowner, for the individual.
Right. So those are extensions that can be.
Yeah, or they come in the form of sections. You know,
Okay.
the policy is made up into sections. Like your section 1 will cover the building, section 2 will cover the contents, section 3 will cover your liability, section 4 will cover the all risk section of it.
Right. And so forth and so forth.
Yeah.
All right, good. All right, we want to open up the phone line. 622-3937, of course, is the number. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we take your calls here on Inside Insurance, brought to you with the kind compliments of Guardian General.
At this time of year, heavy rain can be a prelude to anxiety, inconvenience, disaster. Are you prepared? At Guardian General, we're here to help you make double sure that everything that's important to you is taken care of. Look out for our double sure storm season checklists in the press and on Facebook, and live safe.
Guardian Group. Live easy.
And welcome back to Inside Insurance here, brought to you the kind compliments of Guardian Group. And in studio with me, Mr. David Leoping of Guardian General. And we're talking home and contents insurance. And if you have any questions, feel free to call us now. The number is 622-3937. We have a call on the line. Good afternoon. Welcome to you.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. You just, in response to the question as to what should you pay for insurance, the gentleman is saying 0.4 to 0.6. But if you're including the jury and so on, it might be as high as 0.8 or 1% of your insurance, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
That's generally correct.
But I want to point out that 0.4, 0.6, 0.8 is higher than 0.1%. I suppose you mean 0.04 to 0.06%, or as high as 0.2%.
No. It wasn't 0.1, you know. It's 1%. 0.4, 0.6, 0.8, or 1%.
No, but 0.4 is
0.4.
4 cents. 1.1 is 1 cent.
No, I said it's not 0.1, so it's 1%.
No, in response to your answer, John Gary, he said...
0.1 of a percent, 0.4 of a percent is less than 0.1. It's less than 1%. 0.4 is less than 1%.
No. 0.04 would be less than 1%. 0.04 would be a part of 1%. Do you with me?
No, you see, you're hold on. You're talking decimal. If it's 0.4, you're right. It's 4/10.
That's right.
Right, but if it's 0.4%, that is less than 1%.
Okay, then
You understand?
0.4%.
Ah.
Now it's 82. Now it's 82.
Okay.
0.4%.
Percent, yes.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. I did pick up that terminology.
Yeah.
Thanks much.
Thank
My
you.
apologies.
Okay. Right. Glad we kind of
But
cleared
while
that up.
we're on that, again, if you insure your jewelry, you can do it either on a local basis, meaning anywhere in Trinidad and Tobago. You could do it Caribbean-wide or you can do it worldwide.
Yeah.
So if you're a frequent traveler and you want to do it worldwide, then the prices vary accordingly.
But
So the prices that have the range that I've quoted there is basically the local type range.
but can you use it? Can you get insurance if you're traveling internationally with your jewelry? Can you get that insurance here?
Yeah. You insure it
Because
here
I mean,
for
you bought
worldwide,
it here. Yeah, for worldwide. 622-3937. Be taking your calls. And we're talking home and contents insurance. Yes, David.
Another thing, John, we are in the season of Christmas. Many of us are going to be getting new appliances, new stove and new fridge, etc. When we do that, we should always keep insurance in mind. We have new values, review your values either before or just around you getting it or just after Christmas when you settle down. Review your values and increase them accordingly. Because you're disposing of old things in place of new things.
So you need to update your insurance.
Update your values,
Good afternoon, welcome.
Good afternoon. If I have a mobile phone, can I insure it? Do you all insure it?
Yes, mobile phones. Yes, you can have your mobile phone insured as part of your home and contents insurance.
Oh.
All right.
Is this specifically that alone, or is it that you'll have to put other things in it as well?
It generally forms a part of the contents.
Or the contents.
Yeah.
But I suppose you're asking, can you insure a mobile phone alone, standalone?
But you know there are some expensive mobile phones, right?
Yeah. Is that possible at all, David?
It is. Some insurers like to do it as part of a bigger group, because we come with just the one mobile phone. They see it as selection against the insurer,
Okay.
Now you have your other things, and where are the other things? Where are the other? Now some companies also have a plan to insure their phones as well.
All right. So there are some companies with plans to insure just the phones. Yes.
The phone alone. Okay.
Yeah.
So then you say you all know, you'll say, well, okay, you take up the other household items along with the mobile, and you insure them as a package.
Yes, that's what normally would happen. Yes.
Okay.
All right.
But then you also said you can insure your mobile phone alone.
There are some companies that do. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thanks a lot.
You're most welcome. 622-3937, taking your calls here on Inside Insurance. In studio with me, Mr. David Leoping from Guardian General. And we're talking home and contents insurance. And that's a good point you made, David, about Christmas time, and a lot of people will be changing the furniture, the TVs, you name it,
you need to
or adding stuff.
Yeah.
And if you either change or you add, you need to update your insurance. You need to let your insurer know, and there could be.
That's a simple process. You go in and tell them, look, you have bought these things and you want it to increase from X dollars to Y dollars.
Good afternoon, welcome.
Good afternoon, John. I know you're a record collector. If you have vintage calypsos and vintage popular music, you have a big collection home. Could you get insurance for that?
Good question. Thank you very much, Phil. That's an excellent question. And David, how would you respond to that? Because some people have collections. Just like a stamp collection, you could have a record collection that could be quite...
That in itself have challenges because the valuation then becomes very important.
Right. So you need to get a good valuator to value
that. And it comes like rare books.
Right, same thing.
Rare books fall in the same kind of category. Vintage cars fall in the same kind of category. They're not the ordinary run-of-the-mill thing. You don't have them dime a dozen outside there.
So the important thing is to get a valuation done, and yes, once that is done, it can be.
What the insurers won't insure is the actual the music on it. It's like information. People have their computer system, they have all their information. You can't value the information. Right? Your information is very valuable to you, but it's of no use to me. Right? And you yourself can't put a value on that information. Is it $1 million or 10 million? So we don't insure the information.
You just
but we
insure
the media that holds the information or the replacement of the information.
Right.
So in other words, if we had all the raw data and we had to rekey all that information in,
that can be insured.
The
cost of doing it.
But the information itself is priceless. You can't put a value on it.
Yeah. Good afternoon. Welcome.
Hey, good afternoon. Tell me something. If your property was, let's say, you had a ceiling of with the material, the plastic ceiling, that kind of thing. Somebody told me that if you had that, you would not be able to get your house insured. Is that so?
No, I know the type of ceilings you're talking about. They are now becoming very standard.
Right.
Most insurers will do it. If it's a lot of that kind of material, they may then treat it a little bit differently. They may charge a little more, but the insurance is available.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for your call. 622-3937, taking your calls on Inside. The program is Inside Insurance and brought to you with the kind compliments of Guardian Group. We're talking home and contents insurance this afternoon. And in studio with me, Mr. David Leoping of Guardian General. Good afternoon, welcome.
Hello, good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon.
I just heard you speaking about vintage cars. But let's suppose that my car is not a vintage car, but it is very valuable to me. Can I get, not third party, coverage on that car?
Now we're straying away from the topic a little bit here, but I'll allow David to answer. So if you have a car, it's an older car. That's what you say, yes?
Yeah.
And so some insurers don't want to insure it for
they only want to give me
third party, but you want to continue your full comprehensive.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. I'll let David answer. Listen offline. Yeah. Is that possible at all, David?
It is possible. Again, you get a valuation, but sometimes it becomes uneconomical. Because from a business point of view, some insurers use a minimum value. So even you had the older car that has gone down to below that minimum value, the premium will be still based on a minimum value.
Right.
For it to be economic to the insurance company.
Okay.
And in that case, it
but
can become. But if you're prepared to pay the premium.
But if it's an old car, David, all right, like for example, a Hillman. You know a Hillman, right? Yeah. So you've restored your Hillman. It's not quite vintage as yet, but you've restored it to almost pristine condition and so forth. Can you get
some insurers are prepared to do it. You see, again, there are standards. Like, for example, some insurers may say, once a car gets up to 12 years old or more, then you can't get comprehensive again. But that's a standard regulation they may have in their books. But variations can be made. The guy who comes and he's kept, as he said, in mint condition, sort of thing, it's possible he gets his valuation and an insurer may do it.
Fair enough. 622-3937. We're coming to the end of the program, but we have a couple of minutes for you to call in. Inside Insurance is a program brought to you by Guardian Group. And we're talking home and contents insurance this afternoon. David Leoping from Guardian General is here with me. And if you have any questions, feel free to call. We had quite a few very interesting questions so far, David. So the program is reaching out and making sense to a lot of people. So let me see if I can come up with a final question. So we've talked about, all right, we have a caller. Good afternoon.
Yeah, John, I have one question.
Sure.
At any point, do they visit your home to assess your content so you'll have no discrepancy when making a claim? Because as you said earlier on in the program, I can take pictures and send, but those pictures may not be mine if I'm trying to scam the insurance company. I send pictures in and stuff like that.
All right, fair enough. I understand the question. David, he's asking, would the insurance company visit your home to verify all the stuff that you have put in?
Not necessary. The only way they will visit is if something raises a red flag. They will visit. Even when you insure the building, we don't always go to see every single building. Right. There is also a principal insurance known as utmost good faith. Right? So, I mean, when you give us a valuation on your building or something, we accept that in utmost good faith sort of thing. If a red flag arises, we may then send somebody to see it. We tend to send more on the commercial side, rather than the residential side. But we do occasionally send on the residential side for the buildings, very seldom for contents.
What about if it's some special item?
If it's a special item,
Yeah.
that was if a red flag comes up,
Right.
then
yeah.
we may want to
go and see and make sure.
Make sure.
Yeah. All right. I want to say thank you very much, David, for, as usual, providing all the fantastic information and answering all the questions that arise. Any closing comments before we wrap things up?
No, just to review your sums insured, that thing they call under-insurance, it really is a problem in the marketplace. And the insurance companies, the insurance industry, we are trying to educate the public on that. Be adequately insured at all times.
Good. And also again, it's Christmas time, you may be changing or adding to your contents. Make sure to update your insurance and make sure that those things, if you have added or changed, are in fact covered for the correct values. Yeah.
And that includes your building as well.
Yeah. Go through. You may be doing some additions. Yeah. Fantastic. Right. So I want to say thank you very much, Mr. David Leoping from Guardian General. It's 4 o'clock. Time for News Center 5 at 4 with Onika James. Right, so you've been listening to Inside Insurance.
Listen again for another episode of Inside Insurance, right here on the most influential name in radio, I-95.5 FM.
Flood! At this time of year, heavy rain can be a prelude to anxiety, inconvenience, disaster. Are you prepared? At Guardian General, we're here to help you make double sure that everything that's important to you is taken care of. Look out for our double sure storm season checklists in the press and on Facebook, and live safe.
Guardian Group. Live easy.